Hello, and welcome to another episode of Psychic Sunday. I am your host, Reverend Erin-Ashley Kearty, and today, this episode is all about intuition versus instinct. What you're going to learn in this video: what is the intuition? We've talked about that a lot in the previous videos. I'm going to talk about it a little more. And then I'm going to talk about what instinct is. That way we can contrast them. We're going to talk about how they differ and then how to utilize them both in daily life so that you can optimize your feelings of peace, wellness, and overall happiness, as well as stay on path. So let's get on in. Intuition is your body's receiving mechanism. So it's how you receive messages from the non-physical universe that message is sent to your body-mind system. So what happens is the non-physical side, the other side, sends a message to you, and then your body-mind system receives and interprets that information. So the message is encoded in an energy packet. This is a metaphor. So basically, on the other side, your spirit guide might say, hey, it's a really good idea if you start a business. And so then they will send you that energy packet. And depending on your particular psychic genius, this is going to come through a little bit differently. Some people might start getting songs stuck in their head about getting down to business or a whole bunch of things, and it feels really good to them. Other people will get an emotion. Some people will feel an automatic download. It'll feel like the idea strikes them out of nowhere. Oh, I want to start a business. This sounds fun. Or someone else might be thinking about a business for whatever reason, and then they get a tingling sensation. So that's how the intuition works. So it's encoded, the body receives it, and it is divine guidance from the other side. Instinct, on the other hand, is your ego. By the way, whenever I talk about ego, please recognize I am talking about the spiritual ego, not necessarily the psychological term. The spiritual ego is basically your protector self, tries to keep you safe. The psychological term is your sense of self. So a healthy ego is your sense of self in the psychology realm, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about your spiritual ego. Instinct is your body's reaction to your physical environment, both what you are conscious of and what you are not necessarily consciously aware of. So your conscious mind can process about 35 to 60 bits of information a second. If you do a lot of research here, you'll find that the numbers here vary wildly. So it does change based on who you're getting the information from. But in general, this is about the consistent conservative number that I see. And then your subconscious mind can process about 10,000 bits of information per second. Really, really cool. Now, your instinct is going to be your initial reaction, your physiological reaction to circumstances, your environment, and possible opportunities and threats. All right, so that's instinct. Intuition is the body-mind processing non-physical information. The instinct is the body-mind processing physical information in your environment, and it's assessing it for possible threats, both physical threats like predators and social threats like someone thinking poorly of you, etc. That's what instinct is. The benefits of intuition: it helps you be aligned with your own spiritual purpose, moment to moment, day to day, month to month, year to year. Divine information and guidance. Intuition basically is divine information and guidance. One of the other benefits of intuition that I didn't put on here, but I now wish that I had, is that the intuition is only right 100% of the time. It's fantastic. I love the intuition. It will assist you in having more peace and happiness. You will be able to make better life choices. You will feel more on path. You will get to enjoy the fullness of what life has to offer you specifically. The benefits of instinct. Now, despite a lot of the information about the ego out there, instinct isn't all bad, right? It keeps you alive. It's a survival mechanism. This is wonderful. You are alive right now because you have instinct. This is wonderful. You are alerted to potential threats in your environment and your life. Again, whether they are emotional threats, physical threats, or some other threat to your well-being, feelings of safety, or even your direction in life. It's your physical body's caretaker. Its job is to keep you alive and not dead. So, woot woot, it's doing that very well if you're listening to this. Beginner mistake alert. All right, so it's not all roses if you put instinct in control of your life. Beginners will often, especially sensitive folk, until we learn how to harness our intuitions, we will often put instinct in charge of our lives, right? Because we don't necessarily know the difference between instinct and intuition. And they feel similar because it's the body processing information. Just one is non-physical divine information and the other is your physical information from your physical life. Instinct is really good for keeping you alive and making you aware of potential threats so you can examine them. But it absolutely sucks as the one who is in charge of your life. You don't want instinct in charge of your life. If you have accidentally put instinct in charge of your life, emotions will control all of your actions, or most of them. Your emotions will tend to reside in the lower vibrations because remember, this is all about keeping you alive. And if you're living from instinct, you're always looking for threats, which is not necessarily a healthy way to live. And so they tend to stay in that fear, anger, resentment, frustration, grief area in the vibrational scale. And your life will generally have quite a bit of anxiety and stress in it when you live from instinct instead of intuition. What experts do instead, and what I'm going to recommend, is they put their higher self, the highest version of you in this life, and their intuition at the helm. They trust their intuition. They let their intuition guide them. And they take the ego, they take instinct as a counselor. So they take the information that comes through in instinct form about the physical environment and they analyze it. And they do so with a calmness of spirit because they know they can go through it and sift through it. And their intuition is still going to be the one guiding the ship, so to speak. So they take aligned action whenever inspiration strikes, and they don't necessarily trust negative emotions that pop up until they have been thoroughly sifted through. So what this might look like is if you have a working space and you have just a terrible instinctive bad feeling about a coworker, Mary, right? It's just this automatic gut reaction. You don't know if it's instinct or intuition. Can't really tell the difference yet. Then you go through it and you remember that she reminds you of someone in your past who has hurt you. Well, this is a call to forgive. So you go through and you do the forgiveness process and you release that old feeling to the person who used to hurt you. And now you look at Mary and you realize, oh, okay, everything's actually fine. There's just some habits that she has that aren't necessarily a threat to you anymore, right? And then you've gone through and you've aligned. Now, if she actually is planning something or doing something that's underhanded or is attempting to cause harm, then you'll release it. You'll do that forgiveness process, and then it will become more and more clear to you through clear reason and intuitive knowing that something about the way she's doing things is off. It becomes clear and less emotionally charged. All right, so then you can make appropriate shifts to your approach and mentality so that you can stay aligned and receive what you want, and you can take it into account and just change course just a little bit. I hope that makes sense to you. All right, so now to you. Is your intuition or instinct in command of your life? I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and comment below. And if you've made this switch from instinct to intuition, please do share your story in the comment section. This is a beautiful way for newbies to hear about what that transition is like. And it's also really fun to share your story because then you can recognize how much you have grown. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Make sure you're subscribed to get more info at www.spiritualmechanic.com.